So we are starting the class, and today's class is on types of conflict. Types of conflict. I think I gave you the assignment already. Can someone summarize? Where is the mic? Okay. Let me start with Shaker because I always like to start with you. Types of conflict.
Okay.
Attention, please. Emmanuel, this is class.
Conflict has so many types. I will start from what we treated last week, introduction of conflict, that conflict starts from the womb. So from that womb, one of the conflict that you can have conflict within yourself. You can have conflict with state to state. So within yourself, there are some contradiction within yourself that you might be confused about. It's also a part of conflict. Then the general one that we know is a conflict between a state and a state, or a country with a country. So that is one of the types of conflict.
Okay, good afternoon, sir. So conflict can be understood to be a state of struggle for clash of interests or emotions, and it's common with human nature. So then going to types of conflict, I will want to, from my understanding, break it majorly into three major parts from my own point of view, which ranging from intrapersonal conflict, interpersonal conflict, and group conflict. So to break it down, the intrapersonal conflict can be said to be like the kind of conflict that happens within an individual. So like individual can have conflict within himself, trying to take decisions or to sort out something, make majorly to struggle in between decisions and things to do or what not to do. Then interpersonal now involves at least two people. Yeah, so interpersonal between one person and the other versus another. Then this goes to the group conflict. This can also be seen like organizational conflict. This involve group of people. Today, this is now beyond two persons. Three or more people. This group can go to organizational. It can be time as states and all that. Thank you very much.
Okay, so Emmanuel Obi.
Conflict, we have seen it. It's things that is existing in the whole world. It's now in a global world, and the basis of the conflict started from person to person. That is two parties conflict, whereby there is a disagreement between one person and another, which can lead to conflict. Then the next one is person and self. When someone is having conflict with itself, being confused of the next action to take, or you are confused or you are afraid of, would I say, a trial, that a particular decision that you are afraid of taking, it becomes a conflict because you haven't taken any position on that. And the next one, I think it's person to group. Is a situation whereby one person disagree with what a group has already structured. You understand? For example, in the world, we find people who are human rights activists. The reason they are that is because they disagree with what the government of today or of their own country is doing. So they want to be against the government in order to constructively criticize them. So we still find that in some religions we see whereby we see most people they disagree with what other religions are doing, and the rest of it, I think, is person to nature. Sometimes we have conflict with nature, thereby there is a flood. There will be flood in a particular country, earthquake, and so on, and it leads to conflict because when the flood comes and it cannot be solved, you'll be conflicting with the nation. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful.
Good afternoon. Organizational conflict is happen sometimes. Organization to organization. Sometimes it happens between the employees, uh, and the major reason for conflict is like I think self-respect, lack of.
They want to hear you because you are not loud. Be loud.
Okay. So organizational conflict between two organizations, it also happens with interpersonal in the organization also. And the main reason happening conflict is like lack of respect and the inequality for their salary as well as the position also. So if the main lacks, another lackings is the communication. So if we can manage through the communication, self respect, and the equal distribution with position and salaries, then we can improve this situation.
I don't know. Nobody's hearing you. You can. Are you finished?
Yes.
Okay, Janet. Types of conflicts.
Well, like we discussed
So
last
you want to
week.
talk like him?
No, why should I talk like? Like we discussed last week, started with the introduction of conflict.
I'm surprised.
We, okay, we started with the introduction of conflict, that which means the disagreement between two people, organizations, nations, or even personal and interpersonal conflicts. Then talking about personal conflict deals with indecision, fighting yourself on what to do, whether to maybe, for example, to go to market to buy stuff, or to maybe tidy your house, or maybe to visit someone first, or so, or go to gym first. So with this, you'll be fighting within yourself, and to know the one that you should do first. Then interpersonal conflicts, like I said last week, the way Emmanuel Obi usually do, like always. Emmanuel Obi, yeah, usually do that. He wants you to always agree with him, his own point of view. So with that, allow me to finish my friend. Allow me. That's my opinion. You see, that's my opinion. No, you want to start conflict now. This is my POV. This is my opinion. This thing you are just doing now is conflict.
Okay, wait.
This thing you are just doing. This thing you are just. You see, this is the perfect example of what I'm just trying to say. Please just sit. Not just sit. This is my opinion. 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 You see that thing that I'm talking about. This is my opinion.
But why are you
And-
calling his name?
For you people to understand what I'm saying.
Why should you use him to for people to understand?
That's the one I can. He's one I
Why
can
don't you
use
use yourself?
practically. No, if I use myself, no, how can I use myself? Yeah. You see, this is the perfect example of what I'm
What
just
is
saying.
problem? You're calling somebody's name.
He's interrupting me.
You are the one
Yes, he's interrupting me.
Why are you using his name to make an example? To cite an
That's my
example?
opinion. That's my opinion. My point of view.
You would have said someone in this class.
No, we are here to learn. You get? It's for us to understand what I'm saying.
And then
That's why I use him as case study. That's why I use him as case study. That's why I use him as case study.
I've not started my class.
This is why I use him as a case study.
You just insinuated conflict. You have no reason to call my name. You don't have no reason to make me your subject.
This is conflict class.
If you don't have conflict,
So this is the perfect example of what I'm doing.
You know what?
So just allow me to finish.
I don't have to allow you because
It's practical, yes, it's practical.
practical example of conflict.
Okay, we have understood you. Thank you very much. Sepi, okay.
I'm the one.
Sepi first.
Okay, guys.
Okay, what is
It just beginning.
Okay,
You can continue your fight later. Okay.
I don't know why conflict class is always like this.
Yeah.
There is something in the name.
So
Okay,
yeah.
Sepi.
On
But
my
don't call somebody's name, please.
on my understanding, conflict is a disagreement with the in a personal level and also with a group of people. And like Dixon's mentioned, they are personal conflict and also intrapersonal conflict, which means involving a group of people, like can be organizations, can be group of the religions, can be a country. Yeah, in so many aspect and also level. That's why there are also called as international conflict. It's between country and countries. But one thing that I have learned based on what I read, its conflict is not always negative. Sometimes they have a positive conflict that will
Positive conflict.
that because after the conflict they will create a positive result. So it called a positive conflict. But yeah, looking forward to learn more about this.
Do you have personal conflict?
I think everyone has.
Okay, where does it belong? Intra or inter?
Inter, internal. Yeah.
But you don't have personal conflict with anybody here, right?
No, I'm okay with everyone. With Dixon, no. He's my best friend.
Okay, so
No, well, start today. Wait, wait, guys. I always left behind on this class, so that's why I moved to sit here. So I want to engage with all this conversation. Start today.
thank
So I'm
you
so
very much.
sorry. I'm so sorry if I know my English is not perfect, but yeah, I will try. I will start.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Mike,
Okay.
but please don't call anybody's name.
No, not at all.
Okay. Allegedly. Now this shit is kind of troublesome. But when you look at him, he's so quiet. He's so calm, but you wouldn't know that.
Okay,
Okay, go
so
ahead.
just like we discussed last week, conflict is a disagreement between persons or internally. We were born as human beings with conflict. Like we're all of us, we all have conflict. Either
within ourselves or with the external forces or with other people. So there are different kinds of conflict depending on the situation or the context involved. But I would like to talk about intrapersonal conflict. That is the conflict within. Yeah. So, for example, there are decisions that you would like to that decisions that you may want to take that may be against your ethics. You get, and that decision is something that will pay you more. Like, for example, if it's a job decision, maybe the job will pay you more. There's a lot of money involved, but it is against your personal ethics or beliefs. You get, and you have a conflict. You have like a conflict within yourself to either to go against your personal beliefs or your ethics, or to take the money.
How
It
about
can be vice
going
versa.
to a country that is against your ethics? Like you're an African, you're very strong conservative African, and you are now traveling going to a country that is a free world country.
Yeah, that is where the conflict arises.
Well, why not leave the country, go back to where you feel comfortable?
That is where we are seeing conflict. There's internal conflict now within you. You are struggling to make a decision, either to go or not to go. You get, so that is where the conflict, intrapersonal conflict, comes in, because there's a struggle
Or coming in
inside
a
you.
situation like here that many people say there's no job. Even though as I'm talking to you, since I've been in this country, jobs are everywhere wasting, even as today. The majority said that there is no job. How would you align that with what you're saying?
Yeah, is that? I don't really think it's conflict. That is not related with conflict, because you're not. There is no disagreement between you and anybody. It's just
Maybe I didn't put it very well. Look at it deeply. Somebody that left an African shore, an African country, that came into a country like this, and then is here being frustrated simply because he's looking for a job. They see, and there's no job according to him. Why is it there is no? You didn't situate what may have triggered the fact that there's no job. Could it be cultural shock, culture shock? They call it culture shock, or could it be way of life or sense of the person fitting in into a different culture, a different people? That may be part and parcel of the reason why he's not seeing a job where there are many of them.
there could be so many reasons why someone is unemployed in a particular environment. Yeah, one of it is one of it might be the level of exposure, education the person has, information available to the person.
Education by PhD or
No,
master's degree.
information. I mean information.
Okay, because there are many people with PhD, but even most intelligent students I've ever seen in this country from Nigeria, I think most of them from Hausa, and they are studying the best universities here, and they are graduated at first class, but they have not seen job.
Yeah, so it depends.
And yet, myself, I'm not all that intelligent, but I see job every day.
So
If I look at it, there are a lot.
there are so many factors that would actually. One of it is information available to the person. Access of information, yes.
Yeah, that is correct. But in this case, I don't think it is an issue of information, but the issue of disposing self-emptiness into a different worldview, a different environment. Because when you situate it there, you'll be able to see, just like Allegory of the Cave by Plato. I think we did it last time for those who did something like that. Shadow. It, frankly speaking, as I am today, when I look at Thailand, so many job opportunities. The question is that why most Africans don't see it. Even when they see it in the slavery kind of work, where another agent is feeding on your situation.
Yeah.
And most of us are very comfortable with that anyway, because he doesn't have anyone, he has not seen any job, and there's no opportunity for that. So the only available opportunity is being used by either third party agent or second party agent, and he's comfortable with that. Any comment?
Yeah, so but I'm still struggling to relate it to conflict. Like, Could you just what is the
That's
connection?
why I mentioned and try to probe you into getting to understand cultural, to see it as a. I'm trying to push you to see because
Okay,
it's a big conflict
cultural
because it
ethnic
leads to
conflict.
so many other conflicts. It leads to even even with you. When you are frustrated, you already an epitome of conflict. My experience in this, my seat, in this, my job, whenever you see an average African who is frustrated, what is the cause of frustration? No money. What is the cause of frustration? Your landlord has locked your house. What's the cause of don't even have money to come to class? Don't even have money to do. The fact is that once you cook certain environment, you call it conflictual, right?
Yeah.
Conflict. That the environment is just
Environmental
breeding
conflicts.
conflict in almost everything, including your parents at home, or including if you're married, including your wife at home. So that's what I'm trying to drag you into, because otherwise we might only end in theoretical aspects without situating it to current practical environment or pragmatic situation.
Okay, I think I understand what you're saying.
Okay, so let me
Environmental.
continue with the class, then we come into you. Hold on what you wanted to say. So look at the way I will put it in my little experience. With my little experience, experience in human society has shown that there are degrees of variation in conflicts. Conflicts are in types. Psychological. What does it mean by that? Psychology as a discipline has espoused an intrapersonal conflict. This is from psychology. You woke up in the morning and you're having problem with yourself. Yourself, nobody has ever, that is all intra, inside yourself. That's why sometimes you see some people they commit suicide, some people they kill themselves. There's some people that a certain mood they will be, you will wonder, is it the same person that you have experienced before? Intra. What are the causes of interpersonal conflict? Can somebody give us, what do you think are some of the factors that might lead to intrapersonal conflict? Can somebody help us here? Intra. This is psychology.
Guys, in conflict.
Intra. The terminology there is intra.
Yeah, I think at this point, there is what we call afraid of self-trial. You understand? I want to reference it or link it to what you have just said and with what you are discussing with him. For example, someone come to Thailand and find it difficult to get a job. Sometimes there are people, we have different set of people in life. There are people who are afraid of trial, and it becomes
They are afraid of what?
trial.
Trial. Okay.
It becomes a very big problem. There are people who don't want to be corrected, that when I go something, maybe an interview, and maybe probably I might fail. There are people who are fast in concluding that if I go for this thing, I will lose it. And when you look at it again, you will see that the pattern of education over there in Africa is not same with what we are seeing here. So there are people who are afraid that I may not get up to the standard of what they will recruit. And it becomes a serious
inferiority
problem.
complex.
Yeah, inferiority complex. And not only because, for example, I myself, when I started that first interview I went, I got discouraged because I used African pattern. And when after that, I saw Philippine that presented, and I saw a very different thing altogether. Then I went back and I started working on myself. So there are people that someone that have this different mindset of mine that went for that interview, and such a thing happened to him. He may not like to work again. He will just conclude that I'm not fit into this field. But the ability for you not to give up in life will affect your mental reasoning positively. But once you become afraid of trial, afraid of failure, that when I go this, I might fail, you will find it difficult to be successful in life, because the whole thing we do in this life, there is a little risk in it. There must be something that you have to sacrifice before you get it. But when you start being afraid of something that you have to
Then
sacrifice,
the fear,
then
is it coming from the person in this country, or is it from kindergarten or primary school or upbringing? Because as I'm in this country, frankly speaking, it's only when I arrived here, I became very proud of my mom. Yes, I just found out that sometimes many things depends on the upbringing, the kind of your significant other, the person you are looking up to, the way he or she may have been handling life.
yeah.
That one aside, the kind of school you attended might also be part of support base.
And the friends you have.
That one aside, then you as a person, what you prefer and what the way you have disposed, your docility towards all these could also be part of it. So because it's not just to say about, in my own view, it's not just to analyze it in that way, but because there are people, the problem they are having currently in this country is not Thailand made. It's not. If you ask me 80%, it's not Thailand made. It's something that the person has been battling with his own life, and then it is in his or her own upbringing. That is why I am mentioning this particular aspect. Look at it there. What is it? Say, psychology as a discipline has espoused on interpersonal conflict. This is about psychology. What is psychology? Psychology is what? Looking at mental process and behavior.
Yeah, study of
Mental process and behavior. Some of them private, some of them public. So I just want us to make sure that we don't get carried away with this little, because this is where, in my own view, maybe because I did some things in some studies in psychology, this is where the issue often lies. Inferiority complex has something to do with here too. For example, there was a German student, very beautiful German student. This was happening in 2013 in Siam University here. This German student, a lady, very intelligent, very smart, of course, in the classroom. But then he needed a man. But in the classroom, there were many of them there, mostly Africans, who would have even loved to associate with a German lady, in my own view anyway. Then this German lady, out of frustration, started befriending a Cambodian boyfriend. So one of the days, somebody asked her, why Cambodian? She said, because that is the only one available. And then I said, why? Does it mean that all these men here, they are not available? Say, nobody has ever taken the bold step to talk to her, except this Cambodian boyfriend. I don't know if you're getting something. But then in that class, we had so many African students who are actually looking for that kind of friendship. But the inferiority complex, in my own view, could not allow some of these students to actually know that kind of thing you are looking for Asian ladies in the street, on the street, or people that may not give you exactly what you wanted each time you fight with them or something like that. That look at this, someone like this is looking for that. But why? In my own view, inferiority complex. Oh, this is an European, that in my own view I may be wrong, but that's what I think. But many people agree with that because we used it in the classroom as at that year, as an example in human resource management. And actually, it was an open discussion, not a hidden discussion, where we were about 100 students in the class then, mostly Asian students, and mostly African students, and then Myanmar students and Asian students as well. So, Emmanuel, what have you to say in relation to what you're saying with regard to that? Because the issue is inferiority complex. Now, see another inferiority complex I observed. Are you there? Hello? Yes, sir. When I came into this country, I started with kindergarten, primary school, secondary school. So I resigned from one particular school around this place, Rulian Computer is in Soy 69, around here. Then I resigned from there. I started working in St. Joseph Bagner School around Samu Prakan. Then I felt like, no, I wouldn't be in this secondary school level, even though the payment was very high. As at the time, I was receiving 60 something thousand baht in the secondary school, if you add it extra pay. What did I tell myself? So no. Then I started looking for a job, and I went to thaijob.com. I've forgotten what they call it in those days. I don't know whether it's still there, www.thaijob.com or whatever. Then I saw something, say I'm University, looking for teachers. First time I saw it, I said, oh no, they will not take me in the university. Why? Because I've already believed in myself that I'm an African. Another day I came and I saw the same job is still there. I said, no, I was applying for job, secondary school and primary school. So one day now came and said, but why? Come on, give me a break. All these Westerners I see here, I studied more than them. Why can't I make it? Why can't I try? Then I applied, thaijob.com. I applied. Immediately I applied. I came back the following day. I was invited for an interview. Then I went for the interview. In that interview, they were mostly Westerners, of course, Canadian, American, British, and of course I felt like I was just there to fulfill all righteousness. Then, during the interview, after all what they did in this same university, interviewed us, then they called the result. The first person was a British guy, the first person. Second person was a Canadian guy, and then myself in the midst of all the people. So, wow, thank God I was able to present myself very well to have been the third person. Because I had a job already anyway. So we just carried our thing and started going. Then I stopped in that bus stop that you know, this particular bus stop in front of Siam University. Then my phone rang. They said, yes, Emmanuel, can you come back and sign contract? I said, wow, contract? Because the first person, then I came and I asked why. I said, because the first person said the money is very small. The second person said his girlfriend doesn't allow him to come and lecture because he will have more girls here, and then abandon her. Then the doctor, who was the third person? Myself. So I quickly came and signed the contract. Can you see? And that's where
Conflict of girlfriend.
maybe I'm confident of myself. So you see how it plays. Because why I'm saying this, because of psychological aspect of it. I don't think I came from a mother, because I don't know much about my father, but I don't think I came from a mother that is weak. Is a very known woman in the town. So if you ask me, he has a connection with that boldness, that spirit of not giving up. Then I came and I signed the contract.
Perseverance.
I've also told this story before. After signing the contract, I used to be here before other people. I used to be here before other staff. And then I was found favor by the director in charge. He was using me as an example to other staff. Then what happened? The whole staff, they cooked against me. Yeah, because his accent is a Nigerian accent. He doesn't speak very well. All these things, I documented them. It's still, sometimes every year I just look at them. I laugh. They did an evaluation and got me sacked from that department, English department. You see there, if you go there, you see the downstairs, you see English department. And they even said so many things that I come, and when I come, I possess the entire computer. I don't want another person. So many stories. Then, the director then now asked me to resign. Then I told the director, oh, don't worry, let me be sacked because I don't care. I said, no, resign, because if you resign, I will give you a recommendation and you'll get jobs. Oh, don't worry, oh, sir. I'm an African. I don't even need the recommendation or whatever. I stayed. So they now removed my name and submitted to the president as the language lab supervisor. Then the president now said, I thought I employed an African to take care of this. Then they said also many things before the president. Then the president called me. I said, I did what he assigned me to do. And behold, I was being attacked here and there. Then there was a meeting for all of us. I think I've told this story. In that meeting we came, I prepared my result, my activities from morning to the time we should go. And I also planned what the students should be doing and what teachers should be doing. And I told the president, the problem they have with me, because I recommended how they will be handling students in terms of using the language lab. When we came at the meeting, I'm talking about this University, not Heaven. When we came to the meeting, there are 7 of them and myself, and they came and the president asked them, then what happened? They were all talking. During my time, the president, do you know what I did? I just did my own story and did it like this. If I knew I would talk about it, I would have brought it for you to see. I did it like this, and printed about 10 of them and gave the director. When it was my turn to talk, I gave the director one, I gave the president one, I gave all of them a copy of my, what do you call this? Spiral Bible, right? Yeah. My story. Then I just, even content, I say, look at the content, sir. I'm going to talk about this. And I kept on entertaining everybody there. The result is that the president, after the meeting, now that's how he separated me from there, and then made me the supervisor in charge of the other room that you know. And 5 of them were not, their contracts were not renewed. Are you there? Hello? Where are we dragging at? Where are we going to? So the point is that it's not just a thing of theory. Maybe the kind of school I attended gave me this kind of boldness. Maybe my parents gave me this kind of boldness. Maybe the one I have adopted as a person gave me this kind of boldness. So that conflict was resolved amicably by the president, who, as far as I know at the time, was never a biased person. And he made it very clear that his university is not a place for racism or whatever. Hello? I don't know if you guys are there. Yeah. So it's not just to come to the class and we see everything theoretically. It's also important for you to ask yourself, which kind of conflict are you suffering from? Maybe in my own case, I'm not suffering from psycho. Maybe intra. But it doesn't mean that something wouldn't happen in my life that it will come back. Because we keep struggling in a day. It doesn't mean also that I will not wake up and find myself in one form of interpersonal conflict or the other. Intra means myself. Hello? Emmanuel, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. So I just wanted to use this story to bring back the idea that myself, even as I'm talking to you today, I have a different view about this country. I have a different view about this place we are. Every time I see opportunities. But it depends on how you prepared yourself. Because in my own view, conflict, that's why I'm saying when I was talking to Mike. Mike, are you sleeping? Are you here? When I was talking to Mike, because I was trying to let him see the pragmatic aspect. Because it's not just, conflict is not only something you come and catch like this. Sometimes conflict is also part of the process. The process could also lead to conflict. So, you are saying something before. Have you summarized?
I think you have already summarized it.
Okay, thank you very much.
And I think scarcity mentality can as well lead to...
That is intra-conflict.
Intra-conflict, yeah.
Scarcity mentality is intra-conflict in my own view. Negative mentality is intra-conflict. Yeah. That is why I am not advising you how to make your friends. But I used the word, they've been using it. I came into this country, I saw it, I conquered it in my own way. I never allowed it to dribble me around or push me around. At the same time, I'm also very, very careful of those that the country is dribbling, pushing themselves to me. I see that all the time. Come on, this life is individual to some extent. If you have seen this life very negative, my advice is always, who do you meet? Who do you talk with? Who do you befriend? Because sometimes you may come from a particular setting, from a particular culture, and you came into this country. Every friends you have are from the same culture, different kind of people. The tendency is that your mindset is not adding up. Might be there. But if, for instance, somebody like me, I'm not a saint. This is not what I'm saying. I hope you're not getting it that way. We're just talking about struggle, how each person handles his own struggle. It might be different from yours. My own might be different from yours. But what is mine, I was studying from one degree to another. Intentionally, never allowed myself to befriend anybody. At that critical moment, I was befriending books. I was befriending universities. Interestingly, as at the time, it wasn't only the universities that I attended that could even accept my people too. Evidence are there. Is it evidence or evidences? Evidence, right? You know, the more we stay in Thailand, the more we are off from English. So what I'm trying to say is that this intrapersonal conflict is real, and it's the worst part of it, because if you're not peace at yourself, there's every tendency that you'll not be peaceful with the person around you. If you're not comfortable with yourself, there's tendency that you have time to gossip against someone else. If you're not comfortable with your life, there's this 100% tendency that you're making all the calls you're making, all the chattings you're making is talking about someone else. Someone else. You're talking about somebody. And not how to build yourself. Even when evidence is very clear that the person you're talking about may be better than you in whichever way. Because that is why many of us are very jealous and envious. But we cannot take it because this is what we are battling with, but we are not aware. Sometimes it's conscious. Sometimes it is unconscious. Hello? Are you there? You get this one? Sometimes it is conscious. Sometimes it is unconscious. That is why in a group of people, ask yourself, be very careful, because you don't know the kind of parents, the kind of environment, the kind of upbringing that person came from. And it's just because you met the person in the classroom and because there is phone, the person will call you, be talking trash, instead of fighting for his life for survival. So it's often from here. Interpersonal conflict is from psychological aspect of life. And sometimes maybe from family threat. Who knows? Are you there? Then the next one, sociology, identifies interpersonal as well as intra-group or intra-unit group conflict as well as inter-group conflict. This one, sociology. This one, psychology, inside. Sociology, outside. Hello? Do you know what it means by intra-group? Intra-group means CM University student is intra-group. Within CM University students. Intergroup, what does that mean?
Outside school.
CM University and another university. Bangkok University, Assumption University. Conflict between maybe football match among CM University students, they have intra. This person will be blaming this person. Why you didn't play? I passed the ball for you and you didn't score. That's intra. Intra-group. But then intergroup means that the team from CM University, they are now having problem with the team from Bangkok University. Example I'm giving. Are you there? So conflict. Political science and history have identified inter-ethnic or intra-state conflict as well as international conflict. These are politics between Nigeria and or between Nigeria and Indonesia. You get that? Or between Nigeria and Bangladesh. Okay.
Nigeria and Cameroon.
Yes. or Nigeria and the USA. So look at global conflict. You get this one, right? Global conflict. Global conflict, you know what it means? You know, blocks together. If you offend one, you offend all. This is their NATO, whatever. It might lead to global conflict.
Third one.
You know very well what is economic conflict. And you know very well what is environmental conflict. So, in all, going by I hope my stuff is still in order. Okay. Intrapersonal conflict. This refers to a state of implosion in an individual shaped by state of mind. It is, however, important to know that such human state is largely dictated by circumstances around him or her. Such situations are anger. You might be very angry within yourself. Sometimes nobody caused it. But sometimes it might be subconsciously because you're jealous of the fact that your colleagues are doing very well and you're not doing very well. Depression, yeah. Confusion, frustration, which could lead to aggression, erratic behavior, addiction, and in extreme cases, suicide. Are you there? Intrapersonal conflict. It's very easy to be in the class and then talk it very nice, but I bet you all these are very, very difficult. Because myself, I know what I struggle with my life in terms of intrapersonal conflict. And I also know what I struggle with my life in terms of interpersonal conflict. It could come in any way, it could come in any form, it could come in any shape. What is the solution? Anybody? The solution of intrapersonal conflict. Let me finish this one. This is the kind of conflict that has been described as a man against self, in which man continues to contend or battle with his mind and habits. Smoking, drug abuse, alcoholism, as well as lying are some addictive habits that man may continually contend with. Even when he desires to stop, he may find himself continuing it. This is intrapersonal conflict or man against self. Even if he wants to stop it, he keeps doing that. Of course, all of us, when we enter into our different bedroom, we know what we do. We know when we're against ourselves. We know when we're angry. We know when personal things that nobody should talk about. Because that's why it's personal. Intrapersonal conflict is personal. Unfortunately, in the world of today, you might be into intrapersonal conflict, and then maybe you did certain things, you kept them on your phone, someone might hack it and make it a global or international or whatever issue. What a dangerous world we're into. So, any solution for intrapersonal conflict? Anybody has any solution? Contribution? Do you have mic? Where's the mic? Okay.
I think number one is self-control first, because if you can be able to control yourself to avoid getting addiction, because once you get addiction or something, then it becomes a conflict because you can never stop it.
That is taking drug, right?
Yeah, that's
And
right.
smoking.
So
have you ever taken drug?
What?
Do you mean that?
I'm not here to answer the question, though. I'm here to contribute.
That is one of the questions that in philosophy. In philosophy, in logic, they ask you, have you stopped smoking? But the person that asks you, have you stopped smoking, who gave him the right to ask you that kind of question? Secondly, if you say yes, you are in trouble. If you say no, you are in trouble. So that's why I just a side attraction. I just wanted to ask, have you stopped taking drugs? Because they're talking about addiction. Okay, continue.
Yeah, it's not only the side of drugs. There are things that we do that we don't control ourselves in. So I think in this mental conflict, in conflict, we need to applicate self-control first. so that first we can be able to control our emotion on certain things we do.
Is it easy?
That is what I'm saying. The ability of you to do that now will not prevent you from getting addicted to that or keep on
Can you
repeating
give an
it.
example of what you are talking about, getting addicted?
Now,
Do you mean a bunch
anything you are doing, you are overdue. Anything you are doing, repeating itself, and you know that this might cause a dangerous thing in your
No, I
life.
want you to give examples so that we situate your suggestion with that particular example.
Now,
so that
if you're a type who always take alcohol, and you know once you take alcohol, you can practically insinuate violence in the society, and you weren't able to stop that taking of alcohol or controlling the excesses you might have been taking. You understand? If you know that when you take one bottle is okay for you, you can control yourself on that. Then, and you know that once you take exceeding that one bottle, it will now lead you to violence. And you weren't able to control yourself in order not to exceed the
what are
limit
what
you
are
taking.
other what are other things that alcohol can lead somebody to? Can somebody mention? Number one is alcohol. Number two, possible things alcohol could lead to.
Violence, accident, excessive
intake.
of
But some people, excessive intake might be even difficult to calculate because some people, once they sip something, they are already off. And I think alcohol can also increase some people's libido.
even most,
Some people's, you know what is libido, right?
yes.
Libido, sexual urge. Some people, once you take alcohol, you must. The next thing is that you have to get involved with any sexual enjoyment you are into.
And if you don't if you weren't able to find someone to satisfy you on that, it can lead to rape, you know.
Exactly.
Which is
very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
So what are the things? What are things alcohol can lead you to? There are some people when they take alcohol, they start crying. There are some people when they take alcohol, they start destroying things and fighting unnecessarily.
They start.
And there are some people once they take alcohol, that is when they enjoy sex most, whichever type of sex is into. There are some people once they take alcohol,
they will remember their worst past.
So
something that they have forgotten.
Take alcohol and they will go enough to do what they were unable to do.
He's confident. He's confident. But it's false. It's false.
Statistically, how?
Yes.
Yeah, like in a broadcast. Like in a broadcast, I saw a very dark
Is it alcohol or drug?
Almost all this is they give a false confidence.
They take it and
when you take alcohol, how do you? Which one comes to you when you take alcohol?
What is your reaction?
Sleep. Some people sleep. And very yeah. Okay, man. When you take alcohol, what comes up?
I think we have to be practical on this.
That is exactly what I'm doing in my class. That's what I'm doing. And when you to go and buy alcohol,
it will be practically tested here.
Yeah, you're very fun. Okay, but when you take alcohol, what comes to you? Huh? You don't take alcohol? You have not even tried it for once. You must be in heaven next time. Sir, alcohol, what does it remind you?
So, if we're talking about effects of alcohol.
Oh, personal, individually, the one you feel like telling us. So, how does it react in yourself?
Majorly, I can't really say, but alcohol majorly.
You.
To me, I'm not the alcohol person.
Okay, like Emmanuel, these are heavenly people. Mike, alcohol, what does it do to you? Sleep. That's why you're very fat. You are getting fatter. You are getting fatter nowadays, gradually. You better check it. Yeah. Alcohol, what does it make you? Chilling and hardworking. Networking. Oh, when you okay, you will not get network. You become active. Oh, cheat the alcohol. Unnecessary.
Unnecessary, unmerited happiness.
This unnecessary happiness is okay. Rabbit, when you take alcohol, what does it remind you? Nothing. I mean, you are not even using mic in all these things. Okay, why? So, Emmanuel Obi, are you with Mike there? Wow. When you take alcohol, how does it react on you?
I have two reactions in my body. If I take adequate alcohol, yeah, then it can make me to be happy. But once I take it excessively, it will now bring me to the line of my worst scenario.
Yeah, you misbehaving.
Not misbehaving, I will be like, I will stay one place and start regretting of my life.
Okay.
Thinking.
Yeah, you see, that is what the only practical way. I just want us to understand this intrapersonal kind of a situation. So for me, when I take alcohol, my libido is very high. So if you see me an alcohol, run away. So so if you hear that I have any, of course, I don't think it can be to rape. But whenever you hear anything about me related to sexual issues, then think, oh, he took alcohol. And that's for me. And another thing, when I took alcohol, is it took or take? Thailand and English. So whenever I take alcohol, the next thing is that one of you said it. I think when I take alcohol, my brain acts. If it is 80%, it should be 100%. My thinking faculty, ability to think, is very fast.
So you go and touch adrenaline.
Yeah.
And it will start.
So why am I asking all these questions? I am not asking them because for any other reason, but for us to situate this kind of how conflict comes into us. Even the one you didn't express, you know yourself. You don't need to express it here. You're not like me. Because some personal expression might be dangerous. It could be used against you by anybody or anytime. But the point is that within you, just be aware whenever you take alcohol, where it leads you. And then if you want to attend to this intrapersonal conflict, then Emmanuel Obi said it. Then you have to learn not to take alcohol. Hello? Are you there? So, if you are intrapersonal, we're still intrapersonal because he suggested control. Is that not what he said?
Yes, sir.
So, it's not just for us to handle the class theoretically, but we have to know because one of the reasons we are having problems here and there is because we are not being able to attend to our individual struggles. Sometimes, majority of the times, we don't. We are not at home with ourselves. So it might lead to anything. So that somebody like me, if I take alcohol, instead of causing trouble, I'll enter my room and lock myself there and sleep and find a way to sleep as a solution.
What if the sleep does not come?
Pardon?
What if the sleep does not come?
If I see...
What if the sleep does not come?
The sleep does not come. It depends on you, but most people, I mean...
We have sleeping tablets. You can go.
Yeah, it's possible that it doesn't come, but you may find the most important thing to find a way to control yourself because we are mature, we're not kids. And you know, when alcohol can lead to, in the mind, in the brain, it can make you to behave like
a small kid.
Something is added into your brain system. So you, as a mature person, it's left for you to control it so that whenever the anger comes in a society, in a group, and you know you have taken alcohol, then you need to know how to run away from there. Either you don't take the alcohol, or when you take it, you go home and sleep.
There is these people that they don't usually take alcohol at restaurant or club. They prefer buying the alcohol, go inside their room, take it, and see the reactions inside their room. So if you understand that once you take this alcohol, there will be a reaction that will come out negatively. It's better you provide a solution for yourself, suggesting you buy the alcohol and go inside your room. After taking it, the reaction will now come out inside that room. Don't take it.
I remember one student that came here a virgin, and then he went to Kosan Road. He never tried alcohol before, and then he took the alcohol in Kosan Road. He had never experienced it, and then he better when we were talking in the classroom, he was in the classroom, and then he was sharing his experience, and he said before he knew what was happened, it happened. So what happened? Because after taking that, he went with a girlfriend he saw there. Not a girlfriend, but just one European, this European people he saw there. And that European girl actually knew that he has not even had this kind of experience before. So then in the class, he was sharing his experience. He said, after that, it happened. Say, what happened? Because he has never taken an alcohol. Why taking it in that state? That's the issue. If you don't get these solutions, you won't understand intrapersonal conflict. Because if you are not comfortable with doing certain things, when you do them, you may begin to blame yourself unnecessarily. Hello? Are you there?
Yes.
Any other comment? Do you have anything to add? Do you have anything to add to it? Do you have anything to add, Emmanuel? Okay, question.
Okay then.
So I have two questions based on
Intrapersonal conflict. Okay.
Yes. You talked about solution to intrapersonal conflict. My question is there ever a solution?
So
Like,
with
yes,
intrapersonal conflict.
internal conflict, is there ever a solution that when you apply it would?
If there's no
cease?
solution, then we are not human, and we are not mature, and we are not integrated, and most importantly, we ought not to live. Because in my own view, I think there is a solution. The solution for you to know, and the solution, even if you wake up and you're angry with yourself, you know that at least you'll be conscious of the fact that you're angry with yourself. And then the critical thinking. What am I going to do? How do I handle it? Don't you see me sometimes in my office, I'm angry with myself. Sometimes some student will come here. I won't even behave as if I've seen the person. Prof, good afternoon. I don't need your good afternoon. Good evening. I don't need your good evening. I'm in my office. But I didn't tell the person I don't need, though. But I'll just be here. After the person will just respect himself and go sit down. Yeah, you know that sometimes we are human. We are not meant to be perfect. Intra is inevitable.
Okay.
Yeah, because biologically it could come by that way. That is why they say psychology. Look at the starting point. Psychology as a discipline has espoused, I hope that pronunciation is espoused, right? Yeah, on intrapersonal conflict. So by that, saying psychology means that there's no way you will not be part of it, but the problem is solution. For you to be aware. And being aware is what makes you a mature person, integrated person. Even as you are aware, you can still mess up. But then you can still do reflection and be aware how to handle this personally and this individual way of handling things.
Okay. So awareness is being
Awareness
aware.
is the best. Once you talk about psychology, psychology will tell you that you cannot solve certain problems. The only thing is for you to be aware.
Because
there are certain things that are
is
subconscious that comes from you. Just for you to be conscious of that, that is the solution. Because if you are conscious of that, then you now think about how to mitigate it. Is it mitigate, right?
Yeah. Okay, so my second question is intrapersonal conflict. Is it always does it have like a positive side to it? Like, does it have like positive part of intrapersonal conflict, or is it always like negative, avoid, solution, and all of that? Like, is there any positivity to it?
Can somebody help me to answer this one? Dixon. Let's start with Dixon first.
Okay, so majorly and naturally, uh, the end of everything either comes out positively or negatively. And so it's either good or it is bad. So when a conflict uh, takes place in one's mind, because we are talking about intrapersonal conflict, if it can go either way, because most of these things are triggered by some factors. It could be a struggle for decision making and the rest. But if at the end of the day, the individual is able to pull through that stage and come out with a very good decision that will yield good results, then it becomes a good conflict, a conflict that have led to a constructive result. But when an individual have this internal conflict, internal struggle with self-decision making, and makes a very bad decision, then it becomes a bad end of the conflict. Then it's a bad one. But if the conflict in between, at the end of the day, someone goes inside, thinks through a lot of things, comes out with a very good decision, and then everything turns out good, that means the conflict actually ended well. So conflict can actually end well. Thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Actually, it's just a part of what I wanted to say, but let me add something in it. First one is identification and awareness. First, we have to identify that very particular thing that brings up conflict in your mind, because conflict don't just arise. There is something that triggered it or get it up to your life. So once you're able to identify that thing that you always do or you find yourself doing and it brings out this emotional conflict, you can be able to know or provide a solution on it and work on it. And once you work on it, you conquered it, it will now bring out a positive result. But when you identify when you are not able to identify this particular conflict, you are not able to know that this is something that is always causing problem in my mind. You understand? It will now keep on repeating itself and it will be an unsolved conflict. You understand? You can never solve it because a problem you don't identify, you can't do anything because it's like a sickness that you are looking for solution and there's no solution. It cannot be identified like this HIV. We all know. We haven't know. Okay, now we know that this is a sexual intercourse, but there is no profound solution, a permanent solution on it. A permanent. What we always see is just a temporal one, but there is no a permanent solution. And there is a problem that we are unable to identify its cause. In the case of HIV, we have already identified the cause of it, but not having an exact solution on it, a permanent solution. So when a conflict becomes positive is when you identify problem, solve it, and bring out a permanent result, not a temporary result. A permanent. You might meet up with a temporary at first step. Once you meet up a temporary at first step, then you can elevate to the permanent one. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Okay, I think the answers I got are satisfactory. And I just want to add that in as much as we are all in this classroom learning about this conflict, it is something that is very, very important because that is why you see in certain countries they have institutions for mental health. You understand? Because they believe that if you're not mentally sound, you definitely your relationship with people, with external forces or people, will not be good. You get, because there is a struggle inside you that you are not mentally, you're not okay. You understand? So we should for me, what I'm getting from the response and the answers they gave is that we should treat our mental health, take it seriously. You understand? We should take it seriously and make sure that we always have an interest. Like we are always introspective searching, like getting to know what is the trigger for this thing? Why am I always upset? Why am I always angry? Or what is causing confusion or depression for me? When you know these things, when you are aware of these things, you find a way to curb them and find a way to, so that your mental health will be okay. So that when you relate with people, you relate well or better with them. So mental health is very important. That is
Okay, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Can we be on break and come back in 5 minutes? So again, ma, you can pause the the system. Okay, so we are starting again. So now we are going to talk about the other part of the slide. It says interpersonal conflict. Interpersonal conflict. I hope you have all switched off your phone and your laptop because this is class. Please pay attention because part of our problems could be when we gather to learn, we don't learn what we're supposed to learn that will be of help to us in life. It might be part of the problem. Academic is different thing altogether with the reality we face in life. But at the same time, what you have gathered in academic might be of help to you if you are actually into it. The reason is because knowledge is different from wisdom. Hello? Do you agree with me?
Yeah.
Knowledge is different from wisdom.
Yes, sir.
What is the difference?
Application for me.
Wisdom is application. Knowledge is that you know something. You might know a lot of things, but you have not put it into action. Just like academics, just like knowledge. But then, if you are able to synchronize, synthesize, you'll be able to put it into usage. As I'm standing here, I'm nobody, but I've gone through a lot in life. But thank God I'm still standing, probably because I have been able to put little bit of what I know into practice. Hello?
Yeah.
As most of you are still coming up, life is filled with challenges. But the greatest challenge that sometimes people fall into is the fact that you are here suffering and struggling and then managing to get a degree. But sometimes we forget to prepare ourselves. What happens after that? What if you finish and get your master's degree? What if you finish, get your PhD and get a job? And you are being haunted here and there. You see people that even people you may have been assisted, all that they know is the area to bring you down. Even people that may have assisted you, all that they are trying to do to bring you down because you're climbing too fast. How do you handle it? have you ever planned for that? Because the level of human selfishness, self-centeredness is in me, is in you. But the issue is that when you are confronted with all this, how do you handle it? When we talk about president this, president that, I don't believe that anybody will just wake up and become a president of a country. There must have been a serious calculation.
Yes.
There must have been a serious cooking of oneself. And that is why some of my Nigerian students, when every time Nigerian government bringing them down, dismantling them, during the tenure of Buhari, Muhammad Buhari, a Nigerian president, who just handed over to Tinubu. Of course, some of you were in that class. And I said, I am not interested in the Buhari of now, then as the president, or Buhari of now as I see him. I'm interested in the Buhari when he was 20 years old, how he has struggled to empower himself in whichever way. Whether you call it connection, go and get your own. Whether you call it a clique, go and join your own clique. And yet he was able to build himself up, to have been the military leader, at the same time entered into democracy and became elected as a democratically elected person, and then the second re-election also. Whatever the miracle that man put in there, that is what I'll be interested in. And not what we are talking, because you know, when presidents are in the seat, a lot of people are committing a lot of things, making the country, creating situations that country will not grow, and we're blaming one person. The same thing is applicable to the man we call Tinubu of today. I will never be part of it. When we Every time we are positioning ourselves to destroy people who have suffered, who have tried to empower themselves, cook themselves, and be where they are today. I see that as a jealousy, which cannot lead you anywhere, cannot lead me anywhere. What I'll be thinking of the solution to myself and how to move on with that. Otherwise, how would it end? But what actually I observe that people who talk like this, do business with them for 1 week, they're even worse than the leader they are talking about. I mean 1 week, don't get up to 1 month. However, something that has to do with confidentiality, or maybe that you want to rely on the person, you want to trust the person, use their life, trust the person with your life for 1 week. Then you'll be shocked what the person will do with your life. And yet the person will be busy today talking about one leader or another. Come on. Most people who accuse leaders, in my own view, frankly speaking, they end up being the worst. And that is why when I entered into this country, I found myself, I stood ground on myself. I don't think it was Obasanjo that assisted me to do whatever I did in Thailand. Of today, that some of you, that's why sometimes I see you in the class, I ask you, who made you, who told you about Thailand, and then who gave you the visa, in terms of who talked to you to come here. And I ask, whenever students are here, if they are, let's say 15, 13 will say it's me. Okay, I have achieved something in my life. Try to achieve your own, instead of talking and gossiping. Yes, it's a challenge. And when I came in here, it's even worse than what we are seeing today. And yet, some of us stood on our ground without trying to have the concept of quick money and stuff like that. I'm not saying I'm a saint to run away from that concept. I never said that. But just what I'm trying to say, that interpersonal conflict is the main danger here. Inter. But remember intra, personal, and then now inter, you and the other person. Now let me read one of the few things here. I hope my English will be okay. This is what has been described as man against man. Hello, guys, are you there? Man against man. Man gossiping against man. Man not keeping confidential thing he discovered against man. Man finding the fault of the other man. Man conditioning himself to talk against the other person. This is what has been described as man against man. Man here is a collective word for both male and female. Okay, so you understand it. This is what has been described as man against man in the micro sense. This type of conflict may be direct opposition, as in exchange of blows, gun fighting, or robbery, or it may be a more subtle conflict between the desires of two or more persons. A boxing or wrestling match is a kind of game, but the act on the mat depicts conflict. Conflict in the sense is a fight between people. However, conflict does not always translate to physical exchange of blows. Malice or cold attitude to each other already underscores conflict. Conflict thus also means implicit hostility. It may not be obvious to the third party, but disagreeing or unfriendly parties already understand that there is a state of discontent between them. Hello, are you there?
Yes, sir.
It's not only when you are fighting like this. It might be even when you are quiet before the person, but at the back of the person you speak more. Can you stop that? Is it possible? Is it possible to stop this kind of situation? Definitely, I think it's very difficult. It depends on you. I told you the way I try to control myself, because otherwise, how did I control myself? Reading, which is not good too. And then studying, jumping from one university to another. I made sure that I had less friends at the time I was struggling with my life, because I don't need bullshit. I don't need a story or even gossiping against this person, because I can gossip a lot. So in that my intra, is it intra? When you know that you gossip too. Which one is that? Intra, yeah. I was born in a gossip marketplace. Come on. I'm a Muslim. I'm a Namasri. So you cannot threaten me with gossip because I was born and bred in the marketplace, hearing all sorts of gossips. So, but the point is that in order to move on with my life, I felt the need to make sure that I'm gossiping with my book, reading my book, doing my assignments, struggling with my life alone. And today, I'm very comfortable with the way I manage it in this scenario, in this kind of a country. Does that make me a saint? No, I have my weaknesses, please. Doesn't make me a saint. So, interpersonal, you and this other person. You and this other person. This is an interesting type of conflict. Man against society. That is man against society. Man against nature. This is an interesting type of conflict. Man against society type of conflict arises when man stands against a man-made institution or practices. These may include slavery, human trafficking, child prostitution, human rights abuses, bullying, corruption, bad governance, etc. Man against man conflict may shed into man against society. Man against nature is the type of conflict that depicts a state of contention between man and his environment. Such forces of nature as global warming, climate change, rainstorm, hurricane, desertification, resistance, malaria, killer insects, etc., create a situation in which man battles with nature to overcome and master it. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Is it clear?
Yeah.
Enter. Very easy to say in the class, but even in this class, there are a lot of conflict. I don't even know why this is my class. In 2019, the kind of conflict we had in this class, I've never seen it in CM University, but the name of the class is conflict.
No.
Theory of theory of conflict. Hey, Emmanuel, are you there? Or you are using your phone? Are you sure? Theory of conflict. What happened in 2019? I told there are some students that was COVID period towards the end, yeah, second semester 2019. I told the student that I will teach inside the classroom, but they said they want to study online. Then I fixed a class, and they had a meeting among themselves, and didn't come. Only one or two. They were not teaching one or two. At the end of the day, they said, no, we decided to do. You decided with who? You missed class. So they had to beg, and then I had to bring out my time again. But before that, they were all talking together, having connecting. You know, students, they gossip a lot. It's very easy. It's very easy to be a student and talk against teachers. But I pray that one day, if there's a way to change it, so that those people you are together talking against teacher, let him come and become teacher for 1 month. To become teacher for 1 month. Let's see if they will still be talking against you or they will relax. Because it's very easy. Actually, I tried in my life to be very careful in that regard. Because if you're not careful, you find yourself unnecessarily affecting nature, unnecessarily affecting humanity. Am I a saint? No. But to some extent, I don't want every time thinking negative. Every time, every situation around me will always be negative. I don't want it. So I try to avoid it. So man against society. It might be man against society when you try to stage a protest that is not justifiable. Man against, it could be anything. But the most important thing that this particular one is interpersonal. This one and that one. And don't forget, in my own view, try to make a better place in your world. Hold it there. I will be coming soon. Michael Jackson, is he not the one that sang, "We are the world, we are the children"? Huh? We are the one to make a better day.
He was part of the group.
Okay, it's part of the group. They say that we are the one to make it a better place. And not gossiping and gallivanting and junketing about every time negative. Junketing, malengering. You see, you see a very intelligent student that's supposed to be of help for himself. He's busy gossiping and talking about someone else. And you think that, give the person the leadership tomorrow. Let's see. I hope my stuff is there. I have seen a lot. That's why I'm saying it. So, man against man. Okay, I think someone has something to say. Professor Emmanuel Obi. Were you sleeping? Thinking about man against man.
Actually, I'm conflicting with the question. Because this is what we always see in the environment we grow. This is what we actually see every day of our time. Because man always be against nation. Man always be against society. And the reason
He said, man
always be against society.
Are you making a general statement?
It's not that general statement.
You can say some men or some people in some situations. I beg, please don't find a math problem, please. Let my
I just made it a gender specifiable.
Okay.
Basically that.
Genderless.
Yeah, it's
so as human.
Man, yeah, as only man I'm talking about. No, I'm not including women.
Okay, you're not including women.
Yeah, that's why.
Oh my God! Why are you excluding women?
Sometimes the environment we found ourselves, women are not contributing in the environment.
Women are not what?
Contributing, being against the society first.
Now, women are not against society.
Forget about. I'm not talking about that gender inequality.
What are you talking about then?
I want to go straight forward because you are saying that I'm trying to generalize it. That's why I'm trying.
So what are you saying? Okay, now you're saying that women should be excluded in what you're saying, right?
Yeah, yes.
Why should that be? Because it's not possible. Women. Why should that be?
Because I want to be specific. That's why I don't want to include women. I want to be specific.
Okay, let me even hear your specific. Please allow this. I want to finish this class today, please.
That is what I'm saying. You know, he already mentioned that I should not generalize. So I'm trying to deviate from that generalization to be specific. That's why I said that I'm not including women. So
oh my God!
You know, most things we find in the environment now, I will say many people are against. Some people are against the recent government. Some people are against the previous government. Some people are against what is happening in the society. When you do bad, you will still meet people that will criticize your good for some reasons. When you do bad, you will still see people who will criticize. You will still see people who will acknowledge they are bad. So what we are facing in the world, in this man being against the society, there are many people, some people who are against the unjust, the unfair, the inequality, the way the society is being structured and manned by the leaders. So there are people who are coming against it, being against the society, because when we talk about the society, we talk about the entities living in the society. We talk about the governance. The society is being manned by the government. So before first, anything that happened in the society, most people must blame the government first, and the reason is very simple. When we talk about, because there is this saying that after God, here comes the government. Then there are people who believe that after God, here comes our parents. And you see in the environment we are living, there are different factors that is militating against our behavior, against the activities going on in the state. So when you link it up, both government and the parental status, you will see that the both are contributing to the mayhem that is being exercised in the environment. Now, why am I saying this? When the government goes wrong, because there is something we have discussed in the class first. When the government goes wrong, you will now start for you to examine or to for you to examine the kind of leadership that is going on before you can now begin to criticize on what you are saying. First, the threat, the who is this person that is ruling? Run a background check. Because in the Western world, for you to become anybody or assume any political position, they must run your background check and know if you are mentally disordered first. If you are not, if you are okay, that you don't have any criminal record.
And do you think in Africa they don't run background check?
If
Because I don't think there's any
if-
country that runs background check than Africa, please. But in our own is communitarian background check. And that's why even in the marriage setting, you don't need to ask too much. Know the parents, know the father, know the mother, know the family, even the forefathers, even the grandfather and the parents. You decide, not love.
In terms of leadership, I'm not talking about in terms
That is
of
what I'm
marital
saying, that
status.
you are not creating a situation, a scenario, as if this thing they do, a background check. The most effective background check is done in Africa.
Both in leadership and because I'm very confused. Does it mean that after running a background check, then we still install someone who will find faults in the character?
You are confusing what you have in mind now.
I'm not confusing, because if there is good effect of running a background check, we have seen
Nigerian
different
government or whatever.
we have seen
That is the
different
confusion they are
records.
having. Because the confusion
We have
is that
seen different
you are
records.
coming from a particular background, and that background of impression you have, you want to voice out about Nigerian governance.
No, I never mentioned anybody.
You are my student. I know you are talking.
I'm talking. I'm not being specific.
I am also
But
talking.
we see people like we said that we run background check, right? And after running the background check, we still install someone who installed character.
Who installed who? You are who?
I don't know. You in Nigeria. You.
You see where it's getting to. And that's why it's getting confused. That's why it's getting confused.
Because
Busy about to land into what his brain has allowed him not to.
I'm not asking. I'm trying to bring out. No, I'm trying to lay premise. I'm trying to lay premise that geared to the agitation of people being against the society. You understand? Most people being against the society is because that things that is left undone there, it should be done.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me move on. Let me move on with the class.
Thank you for the question.
Thank you for the. Oh my God. He wanted to, he has something in mind, which, because maybe I've said something I cannot, he wasn't comfortable with. So he now carried something in mind to start to marol. Okay, now this is a family conflict. Do I need to waste time here?
No, sir. Yes. No, sir. This one is the most important.
Exactly.
If it's wrong in the family, you just get.
And that is what we are suffering even in this country. And that is what we are suffering, even some of us from a particular population, I will not call the name, or a particular tribe. That is what we are suffering in this country. Because my uncle is against me, my aunt is against me, my dad is against me. At the end of the day, Okechukwu has made money. Okechukwu went to that. If you know that thing Okechukwu made, go and do it and make your own money. Yes, okay. Mike, be available in the class, please. This type of conflict occurs in a family unit. Sociologists would describe this as an intra-unit conflict. In most cases, this conflict arises from crises occasioned by familial roles, expectations, and role conflict. Example includes father, son, mother, father, husband, wife, brother, sister conflict. It may also imply cousin and cousin, nephew, uncle, sister-in-law, brother-in-law conflict. Such conflict may be caused by such factors as simple as rudeness, claim to seniority, laziness, entitlement mentality, truancy at school, lying, to such extreme cases as land, property, inheritance, and will dispute. Family wahala, conflict. Especially, why is it much in the developing countries? That is the point. Why is it too much in a developing country? Because in other places, they have already defined it. Everybody knows the rules and regulations. It's very simple. Why do we, most of us from developing countries, having problems, this kind of conflict too much? And we spread it around as we come. Because if you go, you carry it along. Somebody who never had the respect to his dad, what makes you think if he sees me in Thailand, he will have respect to me? Someone that never respected his mother, what makes you think if he sees you in Thailand, he will start respecting you? Someone that has actually never identified himself or herself with appreciation. What do you think that? What makes you think anything you do that he will still appreciate you and will say thank you to you? It's not possible. Family upbringing. It might make us to be almost all of us to be conflictual. I hope this English is correct. Conflictual, right? You are English expert. Oh, Thailand, the tip you're going to I've read some paper, they say conflictual.
Conflictual. My first time hearing that.
Yeah, I've read some paper there. Maybe those I read. Sir, is this word correct? Conflictual? Huh? I've read some. I've read a lot of books, a lot of things that use that word conflictual. Whether it's correct or not, I don't know. Yeah, I've read a lot. So, but I don't know if I imply it the way it's the same thing. But I know it's about conflict, environmental situation. They say it's conflictual. Okay, why I'm very conscious of this because we have stayed longer time in Thailand, and so English has been affected. So, family conflict. A child grows up with that, and you think conflict will end with him. It's not possible. This is even where we all started. The first one is intra, which is psychological, but you will link it with family because we all grew from our mother's womb. From our mother, what if our mother and the dad they were having conflict even when the mom was pregnant? You think a child doesn't feel that?
Feel it.
Even after giving birth, and you see, one scenario I will never forget in my life. I hate, but whenever I remember it, the day I was having problem with my first wife, and I was hiding, running away because I know she may be. Women are very emotional. Maybe a man might be the cause of the problem, but the woman may not control their emotions. So the way she was trying to act, I ran away. I wasn't running away because of her. I was running away because I don't want my son to see the scenario. Because it's not, when a child grows up with that kind of environmental conflict zone, I think it's very dangerous. If we should try to have this in mind when you get married, even when you want to shout on your wife or your wife wants to shout on the husband, you should be sensitive about the children so that they will not grow with that kind of environment. Hello? Any comment about this? I know you want to go home. You can go. We can continue the class. Don't need to disturb yourself. Don't need to stay till the end. So, any comment about this family conflict? I need reaction. I need debate.
Do you have comment?
I hope the mic is on.
So family is said to be the unit of the society. So, in essence, that's where we can arguably say life begins from the family. So, from birth, the people around us, the people that brought us up, the people that nurtured us, the people that added nurturing to our nature, you know. So this surrounds and we grow from it. So family conflict, yeah, like I saw family roles. I think I hope we have the very important one I see there. Mother, father role expectation. You know, I don't know. I think it's all over the world, not just Africa, where women will say, "Oh, this is your role as a man. You are the man of the family. You are the head. So intend to push the man to the wall." Or mother or the father will say, "Oh, you are the woman. I married you." Uh, and then, like one very popular, reputable man will say to the other room, in somewhere in Africa. So all these things can be misunderstood. And as the world progresses or advances, both genders in this family setting gets to create and build their own understanding of what should be in the family or who should do or take what responsibility in the family. And then they begin to also define their rights. And some part of the world will now begin to adjust the negative side effect of this inability to handle this kind of conflict, and then they will target to mental health and all that. So in the middle of this conflict, if not well handled and children are being bettered in between, they will observe and they will watch while they are growing. And somehow their brains develop along this line. Some will be affected badly. Some might grow to say, "Oh, I didn't like this thing when it was happening to my mother or my father, so I wouldn't want it to happen to my spouse." And some will say, "After all, I saw my daddy or my mommy do this,
Yeah.
so I will build on it." You know, my daddy used Cain, I will use Scorpion, and all that. So family is the background where most of these things start. That's why some people or some countries, when, like Obi was saying, when someone is coming up into something very big, in fact, most countries, you go into background checks, not just academic check, family check, histories, what has happened. And even the traditional Africa does that a lot.
A lot.
A well-grounded African setting, if you want to marry, without your knowledge, will go to your village to ask about your great-grandfather, to ask about your family history.
Whether they have mental
Yeah.
history and some other things. Oh, come on. Africa is so
as far
sophisticated.
as knowing if your family is known to have record of fidelity in marriage and the rest, they check. And maybe you will be so much in love with someone and your parents will say, "No, no, no, me die." So and then maybe out of love you say, "No, love conquers all, love conquers all." But some people have done some background on the family to avoid maybe future perceived conflict. However, it's not a straight line, but more or less in rounding up, family is very important. Even to us that are still young and to us, some of us that will still form family tomorrow, in order to avoid certain family conflict, part of the way forward is check beyond after falling in love, check that your lover's history, check the background. What has been their story? Even if it's bad and you want to continue, Make sure psychologically you equip yourself in readiness to take whatever comes out of it and then forge ahead, know how to live with it. But the importance of knowing, like Obi earlier have actually mentioned something like identifying. So things you identify in terms of checking the background will also help. Otherwise, once it starts from the family, it affects both sides, both spouse, and if children enter, or if children also join the family relationship, one way or the other, even if there's conflict when they are asleep, one way or the other, it rubs off on them. And the story goes on. This family, if you want to expand it, I assure you, you might go a very long way of writing volumes. So,
Exactly. It's called
family conflict, if well solved, the society can be gifted with very beautiful, balanced individual that will contribute to the society positively with positive mentality, abundance mentality. But when lost from family, the society will have an additional citizen with very negative mentality, toxic, scarcity mentality, and much more. The list goes on. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. It is said that a good family begets a good child. A good child begets good society. Yeah. From good family, a good child, a good society. And I also have the experience that, it might be personal, I am also a very difficult person, no doubt about it. Most people have told me that. But I can say for sure that if I had been involved in people coming to study here, and let's say in the scale of 100, and if I've had problem with 99, it has been very accurate from my personal calculation that those 99 I had problem with, they had family problems. But 1% I never had problem with till today. Their mom and their dad are responsible. This is the most accurate statistic I've ever given in my experience. I just monitor people that have assisted myself. By the way, whenever I talk, I have to be cautious so they will not see me as a saint. Myself, I'm a problematic person. Okay, with that background. Now bringing in someone through my connection to come to Thailand. And I found out, statistically speaking and practically, this is not about theory, that if I had in the scale of 100, because there are many of them, if I've had problem with 99, those 99 are people that actually had a family problem before coming here. But the 1% that despite whether I am good and bad, they still synthesize it. They still understood it as part of life. And they still move on. That 1% from family background, the mom and the dad are in order. And not just only me, even among students, when they sit in the classroom, fighting among themselves, you still shake. And you find out that this fighting, it didn't start in Thailand, the classroom of Thailand. No. This has been what the person is used to from primary school, secondary school, the kind of setting it came up from the kind of family, the kind of the way, the upbringing. But you will still see one or two of them who can never, even when he has every reason to fight back to someone, never did. And then I investigated and I found out it's a family. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
The same thing is applicable to people who talk too much in terms of issue. It's a family. Myself that talks too much, family. Myself that is very stubborn and grossly subordinated, family. I remember that my mom is not the last person you think you can talk against so that you will listen to your bullshit. And then I found myself almost a carbon copy of her character, family. So we bring in some good aspects, and sometimes there is also bad aspect. But the fact is, most of the time, bad aspect is often the one that is shining. Any comment? Yes, we
Yeah,
have Professor. Hey,
For family,
let's give you a mic so that we hear what you're saying. Okay, now let me use his own. Let me use him as an example. I'm not trying to buy over what you want to say because I'm ready for what they want to say. An example is here. I've said it the other day. I will repeat it in the context of the class, in support of the family. This guy, this is a professor you see now. There are 5 of them. I told you last time. They came into CIM University, finished master's degree in CIM University, and I quickly advised them, please, go to PhD. And I met the president. The president signed a scholarship of 30%. 2 of them were from my town. I increased it to 35%. I say, Mamaduna. But the rest, no, money. They want money. But that's not only the issue. Even in the history of their training here in CIM University, this our Yoruba guy is very outstanding. It's not only in my class. Go and ask about him where he worships. And go ask about him in Thailand, not about CIM University. Then investigate about his family. I'm talking about this one here now. I'm not being theoretical. And this explains also why, in my own capacity, when there is a university that needed someone, he happens to be a valuable person. I didn't even waste time. I was from the beginning until the end. And now he's a lecturer in that university. Why? Because one good turn deserves another. I can see the respect in him, and I want others who will begin to call him prof. And they are still in that money. That money, they never get more. Until he continues studying and continues finding his way, and now he's now a lecturer like myself. What? Family. They said, if you meet someone in the road here, please try to be good because you don't know about them. But if our parents could be able to teach us this, if we get this from our parents, it might be wonderful. So we don't need to be make a theory or whatever. That is what family. Again, Emmanuel Ngozi, when he finished studying here, he went home. And when he wanted to come back, I put in all my effort to make sure that he comes back since he decided to come back. Why? Because in his history here, I can't find him living his life to begin to prognose into my own, or beginning to attack me, or beginning to look how I live my life. He was here and he faced his own life. There was someone that came here yesterday with Emmanuel Ngozi, the name by Jotan. He applied in a particular university, somewhere in Europe. And the university wrote me to sign a referee. And then he came here probably to come and inform me. But when he now came, I provided him a recommendation letter that I have done and completed with the university. He was shocked. He said, why, Prof? I didn't tell you. I just come to inform you in case. He said, you didn't tell me, but you told me when you were studying here that as far as I'm concerned, as far as your recommendation is concerned, but the kind of respect you respected other teachers, respected the institution, respected me. I don't need you to come and tell me to recommend you. You've already lived it. For me to wait for you to recommend means that I'm looking for something else. He was shocked. Is that not, am I not correct, Emangozi? Because you were here yesterday. Yes, sir. It was the greatest shock he got about his life. How come I finished the recommendation without even asking? I don't need to ask. This is an academic recommendation. And you see things like this all the time. So I put it to you, my brother. Even though I have my own family conflict, a lot of them, yeah, but we have to be aware that there's nothing like good upbringing. Even if your parents have made mistakes, it's up to you to come and start correcting the one you can. We're not perfect in the world, but we can still make it a better place. Hello? Okay, Professor, go ahead.
Okay, this is my question. You mentioned family, right? But some people, they come out from bad family, but they live different life. That even you'll be asked, maybe they exchange them from the hospital. What could have caused that?
How about the school he attended?
No, we are talking about family focus now.
Yeah, because something may have, first of all, the person may have been docile, may have learnt the mistake of the family. He may have made a reflection. Because some people, they may have noticed how their father was beating their mother and vowed in their life never to beat a woman. It's a personal decision. Myself, I saw how my senior brother was being controlled by women, psychologically or not. Of course, I'm suffering from it too. I decided in my life I will not marry somebody that will control me. from that little age. I don't know whether my own is affecting me positively or negatively. But the fact is that some people, because of what they have seen, they don't want to repeat it. Myself, because of the way I suffered to study without somebody taking care of me except myself, any position I am, I'm trying to make enabling environment for someone who doesn't have money to keep studying. So it depends on person, individual apostolate. The church, they call it apostolate. Individual vocation, they call what you want in life. Because so long as you are mature, you can still change anything you may have noticed that is not going well, either in your family or in yourself. The ball is on your court.
So meaning that yours is comprises of family and community, right?
Of course, it could be.
Okay.
We are all human. Even when you are from a best of family, you can still be the worst.
Exactly. Yeah.
It happens. You might even go to school and start joining those who smoke or whatever. And yet, look at the parents, look at the father, look at the mother. They are the best, but the children are something else. But that also, you have to investigate why. Because some parents are so good that they forgot to take care of them.
My own contribution on this is, first, we have different series of factors that is militating against good upbringing. First, people who suffered slavery mental illness.
Pardon?
Slavery mental illness.
Okay.
Is being affected by the mental reasoning.
Agreed.
Now, people who have suffered or witnessed series of war might be affected in reasoning.
Agreed.
And information is a spanning process. What you transferred in me is what I'm going to transfer in my next fourth, fifth generation.
But you can decide to.
Now, it is not left. Yes, I'm coming.
To toe a different line.
Now, it is not left for those generations to work on themselves.
Make it personal so that not be so complex.
Now, okay.
The point is that you're very
to
correct,
bring it in
and I agree with your line of logic. But the point is that is why we are integrated, mature, and that is why when you want to eat, you don't eat in the eyes. You don't eat here. You see it from the mouth. It's a factor. Anything you have to struggle to get out of it, to get the right way, and forget the bad one that you may have affected it, and you keep struggling on it until you die. But that struggling alone, that awareness alone, is a solution.
Yes. In addition to that, because we are growing every day, learning is a continuous process. And I believe the mass media, many things we've seen online, many experiences we have gotten so far from different locations, different countries, helped to build up our mental reasoning and make us to build a good family. For example, we are now in a global world. When something happened in America, we see it here in Thailand. When something happened in Thailand, we see it over there in Nigeria. And we learn from the experience of others, not from your own experience. And that helps us to build and reshape our mental reasoning to be a straight line reasoning. Because if we don't learn through experience of others, you may make mistake if you are not careful and conscious of any unforeseen incident that will come in along your way. So, for example, like we say that psychologically, you don't know if you are affected by, you don't want to marry anybody that will take control of you. Same with me. I'm psychologically affected by women because of a series of stories I heard from my mom about the death of my father and the experience I got from my siblings. And it is affecting me, and it made me to be careful over women.
But that's not if you hold on to
No.
that, I don't think it's a negative effect.
It's not. That is what I'm
Yeah.
saying. That we
It's
learn
a
from
struggle. It's a struggle.
experience.
Yes,
We
exactly.
learn from experience.
It's putting it into a positive way, because it's not actually good that a man, someone controls you to the point of causing havoc in your family. Because the reason for the running away from being controlled is the effect of what control did.
Yes, because
So it's a positive kind of a thing, provided that you are treating the person kind enough and you're giving the person what he wants, but at the same time you have a boundary.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad one. It's a positive.
But don't forget, it's not an easy thing, though. That's why some of us may marry three, 4, 5, 6.
And believe me, anybody that is close to you, you will still transfer that information, even though you may not talk on your own. With your reaction, with your behavior over, the person will learn if the person is smart. So the information has already transferred. You have already made an impact.
That is human. But we're
which might
struggling on a
save.
daily basis to make sure everything is positive instead of negative. Because you have to look at it in a positive dimension. Because once it's negative, you keep struggling to make sure it's not too negative that is affecting you badly. Then that would be negative. The main thing is that in this life, there's no perfection. My own calculation is that let 20% be my evil life and 80% be my good life. That is me. I didn't say take it. But if you ask me, 20% be my evil life. I don't want 5% because I need to be strong and face my enemies. But then 80% is good mark for the good. So that is for me.
Some people, they find it difficult to applicate avoidance in their day-to-day life. There are people who cannot avoid something in life. There are people who are used to repetition. And it becomes a great barrier in the family. When something happens to someone elsewhere and you cannot be able to calculate and try to avoid that, you will see that at the end of the day, you will find yourself in that same location.
Yeah, but the most important thing, you are very correct, the most important thing is to make sure that you live a good life. And you are struggling to live a good life. Sometimes when you make a mistake, consider that you made a mistake. Remember what we did. You are not in the self-centered leader. It's not that the self-centered leader is a saint, but just that he has noticed that he made a mistake and accepted the mistake and moved on. Because the principle of doing good, he failed it. And that's why some people, they resign in a position and say that I failed myself. I didn't live up to my life. But this is not all about me. Please don't take me like this. And because of this, I resign. Although you can't see something like that in Africa. But you see most of them from European countries. So the self-centered leader is not that he's a saint, but he knows that he has committed and apologizes for that. So the same thing is applicable as we struggle in our life. I don't think we are perfect. Not possible. You get that? We are not perfect. But the point that struggle, that docility, that intellectual humility in an academic setting, and that's the fact that you are disposed to be aware that you are struggling. That struggle itself, awareness as psychologists would call it, that's what I think matters for me. I don't know about you. Because we're not perfect. Okay, can we move on? Because I can see some of your faces. Intergroup conflict, you know what this one means, right?
Yeah.
This group against this group. This refers to the kind of disagreement or feud that takes place between two or more sectarian or religious groups, ethnic groups, communities, or interest groups. The contention between Christian and Muslim in Nigeria is a classic example of interfaith conflict. Muslim, Christians. Now in Anambra State, it's between the Christians and the traditionalists, because the governor made it very clear that Anambra is a Christian state. What a mistake. And for the fact that he made such a statement, political statement, then everybody may not be wrong to view it that there's a battle between Christians and traditionalists. Nigeria has been riddled with clashes between members of the two faiths since the 1980s. There's a riot in Kanu, Meduguri, Sokoto, even when someone was killed for, oh my God, a lot is happening over there. There's a Boko Haram situation, and there's also a problem between even Igbos and Hausas, and problem with Hausas and Fulanis. So, enter group, this group and that group, when they don't agree. Are you there? Okay. Then, intrastate conflict. You know what that means? This type of conflict is confined between borders of sovereign state. Socio-economic factors as land, uneven development, resource control, and revenue sharing formula could cause a conflict between a state. Social factors as value differences, as had been the case in the old Sudan, could also cause conflict. Socioethnic factors such as real or perceived ethnic balancing or ethnic cleansing, such as in the case of Nigeria Biafra episode and Rwanda genocide chapter in 1994, could also be a factor. Political factors such as power sharing, power equation, or zoning formula in public administration, lopsidedness in political appointments, quota system, and likes could cause intrastate conflict. Other examples of intrastate conflict are the Malian crisis, Ivorian crisis, Libyan conflict, conflict in DRC and Central African Republic. Intrastate, meaning inside the state. Inside the state, you now see these tribes or these different groups conflicting. Are you there? Are you there? You understand? This one is very clear, right? Then, interstate, this state and that state. This type of conflict is also known as international conflict. This is a conflict between two or more states. In some cases, this kind of conflict degenerates to a state of war. We must remember that all our wars are described as conflict. All wars are described as conflict. As such, all interstate wars are same as international conflict. Interstate conflict can be caused by territorial encroachment by another state, breakdown of diplomatic ties, exportation of toxic or contrabands to another country, etc. In 1980s, Nigeria almost cut off diplomatic ties with Italy because hundreds of tons of toxic substances dumped at Cocoa, a Siddiq village in Delta State, were traced to the European country. Nigeria and Cameroon have had cases of hostility on a number of occasions over northern borders and lately Bakassi Peninsula, but none ever resulted in full-scale war. The United States and Cuba have been in perpetual state of conflict since the Cuba Missile Crisis of 1962. Examples of interstate conflict that resulted in war include Iran-Iraq of 1980 to 1988, Britain-Argentina War of 1982 over the Falkland Islands, USA-Afghanistan War, and so on and so forth. Is that clear? Interstate, this state and this state. This is very clear.
The first slide, is it the same, the continuation of the first slide?
This was interstate. The was intra.
This is intra.
Intra, inside the state. Intra. Thank you for asking, because we'll have tests on this anyway. And you know it's a written test because I don't want GPA to GTP. I don't want to give you a assignment. GTP will write for me. Interstate, that's what we just said. Then state and state, that's what it means. But this is global.
Yes.
Global conflict. This should not be mistaken of interstate conflict, although it also connotes to international conflict. This kind of international conflict between, however, transcends the type which involves two or more sovereign states. It is, however, instructive to note that conflict between two or more states could become a full-blown global conflict. This Serbian-Australian conflict of 1914 resulted in First World War. You know about this story? We're going to treat it in this class. First World War and Second World War. That is the mandate here in this class, remember. The German-British conflict of 1939 culminated in the Second World War. First World War, Second World War. So we're going to watch the video and we're going to treat it You are going to do presentation on that as well. There are also cases of global conflict not directly caused by states. The rise in terrorism has escalated to a global conflict in which the whole world is battling with scourge of global terrorism and working in concert to fight it. Any question? This is very clear. Global conflict. Everybody's supposed to know. Any? Okay.
Link between interstate conflict and global conflict.
He said yes.
Yes, it's
But
very
when it
good.
now becomes, let's say,
It connotes.
for example, Nigeria and Cameroon battling, imagine Ghana will join Nigeria and which country is near Cameroon? Senegal will join Cameroon and then Liberia will join Ghana and Nigeria. And before you know what's happening, Western interest will be there. Russia will come in. That is how World War starts. So that's why it says from the beginning that even though there is interstate conflict, but that could also blow up to global conflict.
Like it's
Like
allies.
Ukraine and Russia, as they are doing now, if not well managed. Thank God, my favorite president, Trump, is now weighing in to stop it. My most beloved president of the United States of America. Yes, that's me. I said it correct. Are you there? Economic conflict. We don't need to say much here. You know it very well.
Economic.
Economic conflict is the biggest problem in our society and the world. In general, we understand that all people would like a better living conditions for assuring peaceful and satisfactory life. They wanted certain goods and services. Shortage of these goods and services cause dissatisfaction, which gets converted into frustration and leads to conflict. Poverty is a worldwide phenomenon. It is not homogeneously distributed. Even now, more than 70% of world poor still live in rural village in Asia, Africa countries. Poverty is very easy to identify wherever it is found. High level of unemployment, poor nutrition, inadequate health care and education, little or no savings, high level of indebtedness, inadequate housing. This type of poverty can breed dissatisfaction, which in turn can lead to conflict. Do you agree with that? Social and political factors also can contribute to income disparities. When wealth accumulates in the hand of few and large majority live under perpetual poverty, the situation constructed as one of the potential in economic conflict. The poor people are more likely to seek food and land than overseas conquest.
So economic conflict.
Your mic?
Economic conflict.
Are you with the mic
does it-
there?
Okay. Yeah. As an economic conflict, does it connote with intra and interpersonal conflict?
Can somebody answer that?
Interstate conflict.
Can somebody answer that? Whether economic conflict, whether it
Does it have any link?
Whether it has
Yes.
anything to do with
Inter and intra.
I believe that you guys are very smart enough to handle this.
No, you're just dragging this. I think you know when it comes to economy, I think it's all round. In life, you can. What is existence without economy? So one way or the other, it's either if it's a two-class society, the rich and the poor, scarcity or abundance, from the family to intrapersonal, interpersonal, in the group and all that. Economic effect can always be traced one way or the other to conflicts. So it's a matter, it might be interest in resources, funding, sharing formula, greed, the need for balance, etc. So in essence, from my own side, economic conflict can have a nosediving effect in all the classes of conflict. I stop here. Thank you very much.
Do you agree with that?
I quite agree, but you didn't answer the question of enter.
He answered it implicitly.
No,
Because
you
if
answer intra.
whether intra or economic conflict, in fact, that you don't pay school fees, I might be blamed. That oh, listen, I'm trying to connect it.
If you have
I'm trying to connect it. I'm trying to connect it. Okay, now listen now. A student who couldn't pay school fees because he doesn't have the money, it might lead to so many things. It might lead to the student trying to get involved in some other things in order to get the money. It might lead to overstaying his visa because he couldn't pay. It might even lead to deportation, as we have heard that some students were deported in some countries. A lot. So we are talking about money or ego. And in essence, even the intra-state between Hausa and Igbos, money is also involved. Economical issues are there. Then between, imagine Nigeria, your country, or Indonesia. That is why the world democratic states rarely go to war. Why? Because they don't want their economy to be shattered. Because there is no war that will come out healthy. You may be affected. Your people may be affected. Economy is actually, if you ask me, sometimes one of the key pillars in terms of international conflict, in terms of global conflict. Without economy, I don't think there is reason for a country to fight the other because there is something they are dragging. If you really talk about that, something is interest there. Russia is fighting, trying to dismantle Ukraine. Something, go and ask, go, you will see. Wherever you talk about, America went to Afghanistan. Something. And sometimes America might create a war in order to sell the ammunition.
There must be interest.
There must be interest, and that interest must be related to economy because no one needs to give one another. When you now have the money, you have mouth. There's nothing money cannot do. So you cannot remove it. The world, what's the most powerful country in this world now? The most powerful country in this world, currently, as we see.
Economy.
I say, what is the powerful country? Huh? It should be America. And when you mention America, what makes it powerful? Money. Because when you now have money, you should be able to take care of your military, to buy a very most expensive military weapons. Without money, you cannot. So, in terms of global, in terms of state and interstate, you might say money is involved. Even common family here. My dad bought my senior brother this. He didn't buy for me. Now wahala, conflict. Even common family, but you can easily. Economy may not necessarily play in the family, but could if the parents are poor. It might create some tension as well.
Even the rich family, sharing formula.
The will. I mentioned it here. I mentioned here the will. The dad has passed away. Some people are still dragging it today in the Supreme Court economy. So this is environmental. That is the last part of it today. You know what environmental conflict is all about? Modern technology brings forward many advantages in human beings. It has very badly affected our environment. It generates much air and water pollution. Traditionally, we understood that political and military power is the only threat to our national security, but it must be expanded to include growing impacts of environmental stress locally, nationally, regionally, globally. There are no military solutions to environmental insecurity. Hello? Are you there?
Yeah.
So let's summarize the class.
Yes.
Tell me what you have learned today's class. Any question?
Yes, sir. Say there are no military solutions to environmental insecurity.
There are no military solutions to environmental insecurity. You can help me explain.
Yeah, that's the part I was actually asking for explanation. Yeah, so checking it.
For example, even in Nigeria, there's an environmental issue.
Yes.
Are you going to bring American military to come to solve it in the area market or wherever?
Sometimes there are drivers to environmental conflict, environmental challenges. So the military can also be brought in to control those people that are carrying out the activities that leads to that influences those environmental. For example, even in Thailand, EN 2.5, there's a security. I don't want to call it military intervention. There's a security aspect checking the factors influencing EN 2.5 effect in Thailand. Hence, they constituted a task force to ensure there's no longer bush burning. So that's a
But that is global. That is globally. That is globally. That is globally, and then regional in terms of ASEAN, they might have environmental insecurity, and they can bring their military to come and solve it. I agree with that. And then nationally, nationally depends. Yeah.
Further buttress.
Yeah, locally, no.
To further buttress, even locally, controlling. Even in Nigeria, we have the forest rangers. Those people, they control whatever people do, falling of trees that leads to erosion, that causes environmental effect. Those are military solutions. Those are military controls to check and all that. But
I think I agree. I agree with you. I agree with you. The essence of this one is actually was trying to portray the local aspect that because you and I should work on our environment. In this room, there's environmental insecurity. You will do that, not military. That is the concept. That's actually the angle is coming from. Just like we move around and say I'm university. We don't need, it's just trying to create an intention that our environmental awareness, keeping environment clean, doesn't need military. It needs you and I to love the environment.
Intrapersonal discipline.
Yeah.
I give you.
Okay, so guys, are we done?
We are done.
Okay, so now everybody will summarize the class. What are you going home with? What are you going with? Check, have you woken up? So what are you going home with today, Cheka?
Okay.
So we did something like this. Do you still remember the topic we treated, Cheka?
Types of conflict.
Okay, because you are almost sleeping throughout.
Yeah, the drugs I take is
Then you stay home now. Why are you suffering yourself? Types of conflicts. So what are you going home with? If I stay home now, if you can, you need help to even use degree to work. Okay, what are you going home with?
well just going home based on with in inter intra
Inter or intra?
intra
Okay.
personal conflict, because most of the conflicts that we do have normally starts from intra. That is the first stage before it goes to inter. So if
We are talking from the point of view of an African, because it's possible that in Europe sometimes
even in Europe,
you can see sometimes, but the way you are presenting it, the way you're presenting it, for me, I got the impression that because of so many problems in developing countries.
You asked what did I learn? I'm telling you what I'm learning is intra.
But I want you to make sure you go home with something that is acceptable. Okay, go on.
Yeah, because it's acceptable if you accept and agree that you have a conflict within yourself to start with. When you acknowledge your problem, it's half solved.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes. Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay, Mike, what are you going home with?
What I'm going home with is that the family, as a member of, as the first unit of the society, is very essential in our lives, because it is the first point of contact for every human being, and children are like sponge. whatever you give to them is what they absorb. So it is very necessary that as adults we should be aware of our internal fights, our internal battles we are fighting, even as we get married, and also be aware of that of our spouse, so that we'll be able to raise children in a healthy family environment. Yes.
Wonderful. So Shinedu, but please don't give example of a Manelobi, please. We want to go home on time.
Okay, what I'm going home with, I'm going to talk about family conflict. In as much as some of us are born in a family where there's always crisis, conflict, and all whatnot. As a human being, we need to work on ourselves. We need to play major role, not minding our background, not minding what we face growing up, And to avoid this conflict, we need to play a major role to avoid the conflict, not necessarily portioning blame to our parents, the way they brought us, what we what we pass through, or what we seen growing up. It doesn't have to determine how we relate in our life, or how we do our whole things, or anything at all, to avoid conflict. So that's what I'm going home.
Okay, wonderful.
In interpersonal conflict.
What do you understand?
Yes.
Can you tell us what you are going home with after this class?
Okay. Interpersonal conflict nowadays is very common. I think, especially in case of students, they are suffering a lot of problems like their academic and job sectors. And actually, yesterday night, one of my students committed suicide. Some of my students told me that he is suffering like family crisis and maybe their personal problems. And I think interpersonal conflict is arise when he or she needs to consult with someone and need motivation. And in this case, maybe family members can play a vital role to mitigate these problems, as well as his friends or relatives.
Okay.
And that's it.
Okay, so I am living with the appreciation that to live is actually to face conflict generally from birth, because the category shows us that even families did not escape the touch of conflict. So we have family conflict, inter, nature, economic, global. So there's nowhere that man can actually say in the world that there's no conflict. So, but generally, to tie it down to the family, from beginning, if families will make efforts to raise maybe a balanced child or children, that might help the society to actually bring up solution-driven people, more careful people that will help to manage or reduce the level of conflict globally and generally. Thank you.
Okay.
What I learned today is that first we have to try to identify and be aware of the conflict, and try to be ready to compromise at all costs. Acknowledge our faults, because two parties can never make a right. nor make a wrong. One must be right, and the other person must be right, must be wrong. So, in that case, we have to get ready, ever ready, to be able to compromise. Compromise is very, very important if you want to solve a conflict. Without being compromising, I don't think that you can provide a permanent solution on the conflict. Rather, you wait for the escalation of that conflict. Because if you don't compromise, it might escalate to the unexpected level you may not know or you may not be aware
What
of.
do you mean by compromising?
Now, for example, two parties are dragging one thing. Let me use
Even when you don't like it,
even when you don't like it,
then you compromise when you don't like
yes,
it.
because the escalation may not be funny
For you or what?
for everyone.
Is that what you're going home with?
Yes, it's what I'm going on. Try to compromise. That thing you are dragging.
No, I understand the word compromise.
Yes.
But I want to understand
If I can control my emotion on
what
it.
concept are you using the compromise?
Yes.
That word?
Why I'm using
Because
it? I'm using it in all angles.
Are you saying
Because-
that if you are holding something very right, you're in the
Yes.
right position, and this person is completely on the wrong position,
Yes.
you now compromise good to darkness?
When you calculate that this thing I'm trying to
You don't want to die because you don't want to be martyred.
we entirely affect my people.
Which people are talking about?
You understand?
Don't complicate it to people.
I'm trying to.
I am asking because I don't want. This is a class. We have to go on with something that is acceptable. You talk about compromise. I love that.
Yes.
Because if you say that compromise in terms of, I have three, you have three, then let us bring one. I bring mine one, you bring yours one, and then we compromise. We have a consensus on that. But I'm getting the impression that you mean that compromise means if you, Emmanuel Obi, is on the right track, you want me, Emmanuel Okafor, to change your track while my track is wrong. I mean, I don't think that is the concept of compromise.
How? What I mean is,
if I am doing, if I'm not getting it correct and I want to impose myself on you, I want to just like, maybe I use my position to change something that, but I'm wrong, I'm at the wrong side.
Yeah.
How can you compromise from, are you guys getting what I'm saying? You cannot compromise because you're feeling intimidated or because, no, it's not.
What if
You can only compromise when you are all in a light. You are in a same level of light, the truth. But then maybe we have a class by 9 p.m. You know you will finish your class is 6 p.m. and you know you are working. You will come late. Then some students are say, can we start the class by 7 p.m.? Some people know, so no, I will like 6 p.m. Compromise means maybe 6:30. In this kind of situation. But when you give me impression that you are on the right track, doing something ethical, doing something moral, then I am immoral, unethical. You don't compromise on that.
Why wouldn't I compromise? Having seen what it may lead to. When I see that at the end,
you don't have a standard, don't have a foundation.
I might lose.
Are we starting class again? Do you mean you don't have a foundation?
No,
because if you have a foundation of truth,
in some cases you can let go.
You can kill someone. You can if I will tell you to kill somebody,
you can let go
by killing somebody.
No, in some cases you find yourself and you see that this case might result in another thing. You let go.
The letting go there is not my problem. My problem is the content of letting go. You cannot allow darkness to rule you when you are light. No, you are misunderstanding.
I'm not misunderstanding you.
You are misunderstanding the application.
There is a concept I want to employ here now. There is this. It is at the house of a fearful person. You stand to point at the brave man, and at the end,
you are giving a wrong analysis into the situation.
It's not a wrong analysis. See, you see most people that are alive today.
most people that are
What
alive,
did you say?
most people that are alive today are seen as cowards.
Please, I want to end my class.
Yes.
What did you say?
Most people that are alive today are seen as cowards.
No.
Yes.
You are
Why the brave one are dead on the grave
you are
today?
not putting them correctly. Compromise doesn't mean you live.
Because you are still
You didn't. Compromise doesn't mean live what you're supposed to do. Have you said your own? Okay. Compromise doesn't mean leave a good thing to go for the bad thing. No, that is not the correct then the society that if we live by that, we don't have any ethic, we don't have any moral ground. How can you compromise to go and do something bad because I compromise? Accept the fact that you are the evil itself. Okay, continue. What are you going on with? You are applying it wrongly. You are applying it wrongly. It's not the correct application.
Okay, guys.
All right.
All right, guys. So
No, you are very correct in saying that, but you apply it all the time wrong. Because compromise does not mean when you are standing on the right path. You don't leave the right path to go to the wrong path because you want to compromise. Okay, let's listen to it. Hey, hold it. We are not talking about Trump. We are talking about you. Okay, continue.
One.
Okay. Hey, excuse me. Let's stop this. Next time you'll be the last person to talk, so that
one thing that
so that if others goes home, now you and I will stay here. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll
One thing that I have to
compromise the
tell that the currently is part of the conflict between our professor and the Professor Emmanuel. So it's part of the conflict.
Exactly.
So what we have to do is how to analyze the issue, the problem. So maybe after this class, you guys can continue to fix who's right and who's not right. Yeah. So the most important thing is because conflict is everywhere. Conflict is everywhere, every day, every minute. It can happen to us. So the most important thing, how we find the solution.
Yes, and that is what you learn.
And in terms of intrapersonal, like because within ourselves, if you cannot find the solutions by yourself, then you should ask help to others. For example, like if you have a mental health issue, you have a trauma related to the family's issue while you during your childhood, that's happens also to me. But then how you can stop, how you stop to see to seek for help, and just to how to deal with the trauma, how to move on from your conflict based on your to your conflict. So maybe that's it.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, Iman goes. Okay.
Okay. Okay. My third come today is about family conflicts. First of all, the one of psychology. Yeah. Everybody is suffering the conflict in his or her own way. It is something that is highly unmeasurable. We all are.
No, that is wrong. You are not in Igbo class.
It's a general psychology. Okay. Okay, so we all are.
You see where compromise can work. He wants to use Igbo, and you said you're not in Igbo class, right? So you can compromise and speak English in this sense, because there's a reason for that. But it's not that when you are holding on a very wrong path, you see somebody on a very bad, going it wrongly, you now compromise your goodness to the badness. Come on, give me a break. Okay. Oh, no, it's not your turn yet.
Okay. The issue of psychological conflicts and family conflicts is one of the great issues that we have been facing right from the day of Adam and Eve, right from the day of Jesus Christ. So it's one of the issue that we also have to look into, because if we put more interest on this today, I think we'll be able to solve some of the issues that is falling both in the government, in the economic and environmental sector, or other sectors. First of all, if we can be able to apprehend our case, and when they were small, assuming we are being trained on some certain ways, moral conduct, I think some of the issues which we are facing today wouldn't have been occurred.
Are you saying that we are not trained?
So,
Okay, ma.
sir?
Are you not saying that we're not trained or what?
Yeah,
Can I understand?
parentally, let me say, using Africa as a point of contact. Parentally, if we can tell ourselves the truth, we know that.
Oh, we have been lying. Are you saying that we have been lying in this class?
We know that.
Is that what you're trying to say? That we have been lying in this class if we can tell ourselves the truth. Do you know what that means?
Oh, no. I mean, sorry. Okay. We know that we are not properly trained.
By who? By who? You are
him.
You are not properly trained.
So we are not
you guys
properly trained on the, especially when
you are who, every statement you're making is very controversial. You and who are not properly trained?
Me and
Chinedu.
So most of us, we are not properly trained.
By who?
By both the government and the family, parental issues, parental guidance. So all these things affect us. So in other hand, it is our own responsibility to train our kids.
Okay, thank you very much.
So, having exhausted all we have for today, Honorable Manuel is here to move an adjournment for today's class.
Thank you very much for moving for an adjournment. Okay. So next week we are going to have a test. The test will be about what is conflict and types of conflict. You give an example. Next week we are going to have some tests. What is conflict and types of conflict? So Emmanuel, we are done with the class. So thank you very much. See you again next week.